How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about some of the issues that I mentioned in my video about the Megascan plugin update. Ever since that video, Quixel support got in contact with me and they sent me a very nice and thorough explanation onto how to resolve these problems, what may cause them, and I wanted to share that with you. Now, stay all the way till the end of this video because I'm going to show you something really neat that they share with me about making your Megascans look really good that I had no idea we could do that. Before we start the video, remember the best way that you can support the channel is by leaving a like, leaving a comment for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe if you haven't, and ring that bell for notification. That really helps me out. So the first thing that I mentioned is I was having a lot of extra crashing after the update. And when I mean extra crashing, if you've been using Unreal for a while, Unreal crashes for many reasons. If you're doing animation, if you're doing weird stuff with the nodes and the materials, it may crash. So it can crash for an infinite number of reasons, but at that time it was crashing a lot more than usual. What I decided to do was to get rid of everything, reinstall, and that actually solved my problem. And what I mean, I got rid of everything Quixel related, including Mixer, Bridge, and all that. That was not necessary. It wasn't necessary to go all that far with the cleanup. All we have to do is actually get rid of the plugin folder. So in that case, all you have to do is go here into the same folder where you have your plugin installed and make sure you look for the Megascan plugin folder, delete that, and also make sure you are out of Unreal and you save your project and all that. But once you delete that, then you're gonna go back to Bridge. I suggest restarting Bridge just in case, and it's going to ask you again for the installation folder. Actually, it's not gonna let you export before you do this. So what you need to do is point it back to the folder where you have your engine plugins. So that'll be whatever you have your engine version, then the engine folder, then the plugins folder, and this is where you are going to install the plugin again. Make sure that when you're selecting the area that you are not selecting any folder, because if you have, like I did, a folder clicked, it might want to install it there and you're gonna get an error. So make sure that you're installing it here in this very folder. Now that is one of the way to get rid of those extra crashes. And again, Unreal can crash for any number of reasons, but for me, that's one of the ways that really worked. And from what was explained to me on the email is because sometimes some of the files slip through, things are not overwritten correctly, and these things may happen. So that is one of the solutions. Now, the second problem I have, if you guys remember, was that whenever I exported the texture, it was stuck in converting. And I've heard from some of the comments and I've seen on other YouTube channels that this has happened to other people. So I'm going to show you what's wrong with that. All right, so the problem, if you are having that getting stuck in conversion, is something that's called the image processor. So the first thing that you need to do is go here into the whatever you have your local library path. In my case is this one right here. So I already have it open over here, and go into the support folder, and into the support folder there's a utils, and over here is a folder called the image processor. This is the folder that you're going to have to delete. The reason why is this is the folder that actually takes care of all that conversion, and again, for some reason it didn't get overwritten, it didn't get replaced during the update. So what you can do is just get rid of this, make sure you're out of Bridge before doing this. Now in this case, after that you've deleted that folder, once you try to export things out, you are going to get this one right here. So you can see over here that your textures will be converting, but since it doesn't have the image processor, it will say setting up the image processor, and it will say that it was successful, and after that then your textures will be exporting. So what it did, it was install again the image processor, and you should be good to go. You should have your converting texture problem resolved. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm going to show you a way that Quixel told me about getting their textures to look a lot better for their assets. And we're going to actually be using that same mesh that I was using in that video, that it actually came out really whitish. I don't know why, but right after I reinstalled everything the correct way and did everything they did, actually when I exported this back into Unreal, it was completely fine. It wasn't whitish at all. It actually looked fairly close to what we're seeing here, but I'm going to show you another way to get this thing very close to how you look at it in the viewport of Bridge. So as you can see here, right out of the box, the mesh is actually not whitish at all, and it has a very good color, and that is all due to the fact that there was some kind of error before, and after I followed the steps that I just showed you, it actually corrected that. And now not only is it exporting the meshes a lot faster, it is exporting them with the correct colors. Now what I'm going to show you is how to make your Megascans look a lot better just by using one command. So that command is the one down here. It is called r.Tonemapper.Sharpen. I'm going to have that on screen. I'm going to have it in the description below so you can copy and paste it in case you need to. All I did is using the tilde key. The tilde key is the one right next to the number 1 on your keyboard. This is for the US keyboard. I'm not sure in other languages, sorry about that, but it should be the key right next to the number 1 in the US and regular keyboards. So once you press that, the command prompt will come out, and all you have to do is type tone, and it's the one that says r.Tonemapper.Sharpen. So this one right here. Sorry, this usually comes down screen. That was a little bit out of the screen. So once your command prompt comes in, all you have to do is type tone, and you're going to look for Tonemapper.Sharpen. Once you have this, all you have to do after that is assign a value to it. Usually the value that it has is 0, but you can use a value between 0 and 4. From what I've read, you can go over 4, but that's great since it's going to start bringing you some artifacts. But let's say I want to use a value of 2. Pay attention to how this looks and how it will look after I assign the value. So let's do number 2 and let's hit enter. You see how much better that is. Actually, let me get a little bit closer. You'll probably see a lot better if I do it here. So if I call the function again, I'm just going to leave it up to 0. You can see that even though it doesn't look bad, the texture is a little bit blurry. So it looks like a bitmap if you've ever seen one. So in order to make this look a lot better, we're going to use that sharpen function. So let's try something a little bit more extreme, like a number 4. And you're going to see that looks a lot sharper. You can see like the pores and everything from this rock. And now this looks a lot closer to what you see on Bridge. Actually, the reason why it's getting darker as I go out is because of the exposure. So if you want to get rid of the auto exposure, it actually auto adjusts the amount of light that comes into the camera. So if you want to get rid of that, all you have to do is click on the show tab, go to post processing. You're going to uncheck eye adaptation. So if we uncheck that, then now we have the same lighting situation across. So you can see when I get closer or I get further away, it's actually completely the same. So what I'll do is just increase the lighting to maybe 8 or 6. There you go. And this is pretty much what we have in Bridge. So again, this is just one little tip to make your Megascans look a lot better. All right, another thing that I wanted to talk about and that I've seen a lot of people ask me in my videos is how can I export my mixes, so straight up from Quixel Mixer, into Quixel Bridge so I can export it out to Unreal like I would export any other Megascan. So if you go to local, you're gonna see that in Bridge, you have all of these tabs, but you have local at the end. So local represents the assets that you already downloaded. And as you can see, I've only have these. And I have one tab that's called Mixer. So if I click here, you're gonna see that here I have my rock material. And let me go to 3D. I have the rock material that I had in Quixel Mixer, and I can export this out into Unreal as if I was exporting any of the other Megascans. So the way that you can get this, and if you're not getting it, the reason is Quixel has to be pointing to the same folder where you download your Megascans for this to show up. So if you go to Quixel Mixer, I'm gonna go into Edit Preferences, and you're going to see that in Preferences, you're going to see that my local library says this folder right here. And if I go back to Bridge, I go to Edit Settings, you're going to see that over here my local library path is exactly the same folder. So if you find that you are using Quixel Mixer and your mixes when you hit export to library, so the way that you would export to library, I have a video about this, but in case you haven't watched that, you just click here on export to library, and that's going to take it straight out into your library. And you should be able to see it here in Bridge, where it says in the local tab in Mixer. If you don't see it here, that means that you are pointing to different folders. All you have to do is make sure they are pointing into the same folder. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. There's the Discord and the Twitter if you want to sign up. And I'll see you in the next video. We now have a Discord. We now have Discord and Twitter, so make sure that you go into... We now have a Discord, so we now have a Discord for the whole community to... We now have a Discord for the community, and make sure you don't forget to follow me on Twitter.